She said, you know, if you had 6 months to prepare for like a collapse, basically, like an economic collapse, what would you be doing right now? There you go.
Y'all like my I just said star fruit. Y'all like my dragon fruit t-shirt. This was Junior's idea. Junior told Texas Mom, I need to get Dad a dragon fruit t-shirt for my birthday. We need matching dragon fruit t-shirts. Mm-hmm. So Texas Mom graciously went online and found that they actually have dragon fruit t-shirts. And me and Junior has a gray dragon fruit t-shirt, and I have a black dragon fruit t-shirt. And so we got this for Junior's birthday.
True.
That is the story behind the dragon fruit t-shirt. That was really cool.
It's a great conversational piece.
And if you know Junior, he's a great kid. Junior's quite the conversational piece. That kid.
Yes, he is. So guys, I'm so glad that you joined us today. We are sitting down and just talking about some really, we feel like, are important things that are going on in our country and around the world right now. And it all is revolving around your food.
Right.
So,
and interestingly enough, we did a video on food, and we talked about Azure Standard and why we don't shop from Azure Standard. And literally the day we posted that video, Azure Standard's home office burnt to the ground. Yeah. And I keep looking for updates, and to my knowledge they still have not determined what the root cause of that was. I haven't seen it anyway, if they have determined the root cause of that. But that would mark like the 22nd or 23rd food processing place that's literally burned to the ground since January. It's really starting to become not coincidental. So we were discussing the fact prior that a certain dementia-laden talking puppet that is...
Talking about Brandon?
So Sloppy Joe mentioned that there was going to be food shortages, and Klaus Schwab mentioned there's going to be, you know, changes to the food system, changes to the monetary system. We'll see that. That's happening soon too, by the way.
Changes to the energy system.
Yes, changes to the energy system, food system, mm-hmm. and the economic system. Mm-hmm. That's when we go with the digital currency deal. And so in addition to this almost militarized attack on our food system, which is a really interesting way of saying that, there's been this whole, I don't know if you can say it on YouTube, the BF, and we'll put the word down here, the BF. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about the BF, now we've had birds for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And they trot out the BF every single spring. And like the BF is some new thing, and it's a new thing that's going to wipe out all the birds, and this is why you got to kill all your birds. And they've been killing hundreds of thousands of birds in Europe and stuff because of the BF and all that stuff. And what I find really interesting about the BF is that Gil Bates has been BFF with the BF since 2006. He's been investing heavily in, I forget the scientist's name. He probably has like a foreign, probably Asian type name. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that he works in a lab overseas or anything.
And we can link some of these things that we're referencing below for you, so you can go ahead and watch some other videos that's going to go more in depth. We're just kind of trying to cover a lot of ground here. So if you want more details,
you can get real specific BF info from the Ice Age Farmer. Christian at the Ice Age Farmer has lots of great info, but he did an in-depth of Gil Bates and his involvement with the BF. And so Gil's been BFF with the BF since 2006, and they've been investing in how to gain of function the BF. Mm-hmm. So all that being said, a lot of the hysteria around the BF is bogus in the sense that they want to make your animals dirty, and they want to make animals too dirty to eat.
Sure.
Because God created animals to be this incredibly efficient condensation of food. You know, like for example, a cow, like since we can't eat grass, a cow can eat grass and convert it into an incredibly nutrient dense food source, and then we can eat that cow's meat and ta-da.
But it is interesting what the Ice Age farmer was saying about how they are working with scientists to genetically make these super viruses, right? And then accidentally they get out, and you know, and then they're able to fix their problem by creating these vaccines, of course, that, you know, just so happens to make them a whole lot of money, and they incidentally change your DNA in the process. So there's just like all of these things are all intertwining and working together. And then on the more practical side of it, how you feel it in your daily life is like we've heard other people say, you know, that they have a hard time getting eggs. My friend just said today from up north, like eggs are kind of like hit or miss. It's kind of hard to get them, or you know, there's a certain amount that you're allowed to get and then that's it. So I mean, there are specific ramifications from that, and I'm just thinking back to like
ramifications in North Carolina. You can't sell meat, you can't sell chicks in North Carolina,
right?
That's right from the North Carolina Ag Department. They're not allowing anybody moving forward. You can sell whatever you have in hand, but moving forward, they're not going to be able to sell live chicks in North Carolina.
Yeah. So, I mean, it probably, I don't know exactly how it's undermining all of these little businesses and all of these chicken businesses and hatcheries and just backyard farmers and all of that, but they're definitely messing with things, and this is all done purposefully.
By design.
By design. So then, I was just going to say, I remember back when we were away on a vacation. We were in St. Thomas. I don't know if you remember this or not. I'm probably going back like 10 years ago at least. And we were getting a tour of the island, and we were amazed by how lush and how green and fertile and just beautiful the island was. And we were just like, wow, I can imagine that you would just be able to grow anything here, you know? And and then what did the guy who was giving us the tour, what did he go on to say? Do you remember some of those things?
Yeah, he went on to say that because of all the subsidy and stuff, they don't grow any food there. Yeah, I remember him saying all that, and that was that was way more than 10 years ago.
And
it was probably 15 years ago.
He blamed America for it. He blamed America for it.
Yeah, so St. Thomas is a U.S. territory.
Yes, it's a U.S. territory, and he said, like, so us as citizens of the United States, we could go there and we could basically, I guess, have citizenship. We could run for office, like political stuff or whatever. Like, it was kind of like, you know, that kind of thing. But he totally blamed it. And when he was doing the tour around the island, he said, do you see like all these little these little chickens running around everywhere? He was like, it used to be that everybody had chickens. Do you see over here? This was where the dairy farm was. And he's like, I remember they were pouring all the milk out because it was cheaper for the people to have the milk imported in than to raise their own cows and have their own milk.
Yeah.
And it was like that with everything, with all the fruits. He said, we grow nothing. We grow nothing, we produce nothing. And we were just like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
this was before I was into growing stuff, but I mean, like, just super tropical island. You could literally, the soil was black as night, like the best soil in the world. And nobody grew anything.
You just didn't grow anything. And that's just like always stuck with me that, you know, we had done that to them. And it all had to do with the world, food organization.
Yeah. The food world order. Yeah.
And all of that stuff. So it's no shocker that they're trying to impose this stuff on their own people. And
it's a greater scale of what they do here by subsidizing farmers to do big ag, to do, you know, soy, corn, and whatever. It's the same exact thing where they pay farmers here not to farm, and they've been doing that since like the 50s. paying farmers more to not farm than to farm, which is what has killed the little guy and what's made big ag bigger, you know. It's like the whole same thing, the too big to fail and the whole covered up with the tarp.
Right. So some things that we're doing in preparation for what may be coming ahead, according to
what we're watching happen, you mean?
The who's who and their promises to us. Order. You know, and I know Homestead Heart was saying, this was probably about a month ago, she said, you know, if you had 6 months to prepare for like a collapse, basically, like an economic collapse, what would you be doing right now? And whatever your answers are to that question, you need to be doing those things now, because we might have 6 months and we don't know. We really don't know, right? We might have a year, we might have 5 more years, we really don't know. We just see these trends happening and they're so bold and brazen and like making these statements and saying that they're muxing with genetics and they're doing all these things for these super viruses and all this stuff.
Well, all that stuff was going to happen. But now that Elon Musk has bought Twitter, I mean, free speech is alive and well. So none of this stuff will happen now because we'll all just tweet against it and it'll all go away.
So what are we doing as homesteaders, as just people, right? You're just watching this. Maybe you don't have a homestead. What are you doing?
Maybe you're saying this isn't going to happen.
Maybe.
I get that. And I love the positive affirmation aspect of all that.
But
it's not gonna stop.
I mean, you're kind of like the people on the Titanic, right? That we're playing the music.
There's not going to be food shortages. There already has been.
As the ship is sinking and you just keep playing the music, right? Because, you know, a lot of people just throw their hands up in the air.
Bias, yeah.
And it's normalcy bias. And it's just, I can't deal with all that right now. So let me just keep surfing on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, right? So I just encourage everybody to start taking steps now. Just like Homestead Heart was saying, what would you do? You know, let's start.
Texas Mom and Homestead Heart.
I like Homestead Heart so much.
A
She keeps me company during the day. So anyway, you know, what would you do? So you know, for us, it's hatching out our own chicks. You know, we've been doing that.
Look, y'all, you better figure out how to hatch out your own chicks. And all these people that want to rotate meat birds, one, it's not sustainable. I'm not saying that it's wrong to do, but the Cornish cross concept is not sustainable in the sense that you can't replenish your chicks. So it's not sustainable. So you need to buy them from a hatchery. To think that you're always going to be able to buy them from a hatchery, I think we're watching that. I'm very curious in the next 6 months to see what folks in North Carolina, how they are responding to what's happening there and what adjustments they're going to be making when it comes to meat birds. I think everybody will be transitioning to some type of dual purpose bird, maybe like a Red Ranger or something.
Something that's sustainable and something that's going to go broody, because you're going to want something that, you know, is going to be able to hatch out their own babies and that kind of thing too. But in the interim, an incubator is awesome. I would definitely put an incubator on your preps list. You can plug an incubator into a generator. I would definitely be putting a generator on your preps list at this point, just even for plugging in extra freezers or whatever you need to have going. And yeah, we were just really prompted to do that. You know, we did the meat birds a couple times, and you know, there's pros and cons to it. And we just really felt like, after counseling with our friends that had been homesteading for a long time, they were like, yeah, you know, we did all of that, and yeah, it's amazing. The meat is amazing. I mean, it's just like the grocery store chickens. It's big white meat, you know, and all that. But you know, it's not sustainable, and that's not like, you know, even the feed, when you start to break down the cost of feed of growing out those birds, those last few weeks of growing out meat birds, I mean, you got $8 to $10 into a bird, and I'm going on numbers from like
old numbers
7 years ago. So
yeah.
I don't know what the numbers would be on feed at this point for growing out meat birds, but it's a lot of money to grow out a meat bird because that's what they're designed to do.
And speaking of old numbers, I'm going to have Texas Mom make a video from her food journal and talk about 3-year-old pricing of pantry items versus now. And I think we'll see some hyperinflation action. And I just want to point out hyper, if I can even say hyperinflation is theft. Okay, and that's why you need a food 401k. It's inflationary proof. And hyperinflation is theft, and taxation is theft. So, and hyperinflation is a form of taxation.
Right. So that would segue us into the next thing that I would say. So yes, get some chickens, get a sustainable breed, a backyard breed, get an incubator, start working towards that goal, right? And then the next thing is, have some fruit trees, have some berry plants, have some berry bushes. Start growing something that is inflation proof, okay? Your fruit tree is going to be inflation proof. So start working towards growing.
You can't, the thing about an orchard or fruit trees is you can't grow it this year and really expect, unless it's a fig tree, you can't grow it this year and expect fruit this year. You got to plan ahead a little bit. You got to plan ahead a lot of it sometimes. And we'll see. This year's going to be our year. This is our big year. The mulberries are turning color, getting ready to ripen. It's going to be our year. It's a big year.
Another thing that we've talked about in the past that you could absolutely be doing is growing a garden. So get online, just Google search like the top 5 or 10 things in a survival garden or, in a victory garden. Just see the different things that people recommend growing for food. Think bulk food, sustainability. Think, if I had to feed my family on this, what am I going to be growing? And try to really focus in on those things and growing those things. So that's what we're really doing this year. We're doing some intensive, high intensive gardening. We're probably going to be growing, Lord willing, we've definitely planted more food than we ever have in the past. And I hope that we'll be producing all of that food, Lord willing.
I think the whole point is you do what you can. I think the main thing to focus on is, rather than complain and rather than vote harder and rather than blame somebody else, is you do what you can. You hear what's being said, you watch what's happening, you assess both, you then come to a realization of what reality is, and then you respond. There's a big difference when it comes to parenting. You can be a thermometer or you can be a thermostat. And how that works is a thermometer tells the temperature. So you see little Junior in the front room cutting the brand new drapes, right? You can be a thermometer. Junior, what are you doing? I scared the dog. I say, what are you doing, Junior? You're cutting the drapes, right? That's a thermometer. Or you can be a thermostat and be like, Junior, listen, Junior, are you supposed to be cutting the drapes with the scissors? No, you're not supposed to be cutting the drapes with the scissors.
You made her nervous.
I'm sorry, Nugget. I won't beat you, Nugget. I won't beat you. I scared Nugget, y'all. But see, and that's why. This is a perfect example here. Nugget wanted to show you that it's much more important that you be a thermostat than be a thermometer. And if you want to be a good parent, you need to be a thermostat. You need to set the temperature of your home, not react to the temperature of your home. And just like being a good parent and creating a nice environment in your home, it's the same thing with all the aspects of your life. Rather than react to the current environment, you need to literally set that environment, right? So like, it's not like you open up, there's no food in the fridge, what are we gonna do? Too late. It's your beat. It's too late. You can't wait till there's no food in the fridge, open the door in shock and freak out and lose it and scream at everybody. What are you doing? There ain't no food in the that's called being mentally retarded. That's literally called being insane. And that's super not being an adult. That's like being a little kid. Like, there ain't no food in the fridge. Well, you knew that there wasn't going to be any food in the fridge. You knew there wasn't going to be any food at the store. So you can't go to the store and flip out, there's no food at the store. Well, they said there wasn't going to be any food at the store. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh no, they finally told the truth. Exactly. You know, that's how how they're trying to lull you to sleep. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you hear what's being said, you see with your eyes, and then you assess what is reality.
Sure.
And then you respond to that in advance. You know, you don't wait, because if you wait, you have to react. You can't respond. Mm-hmm. If you are proactive, you can respond. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to be picking fruit from fruit trees that are 4 years old.
Right.
And, well, we didn't know this was going to happen 4 years ago. Well, we did know that this was going to happen 4 years ago.
Sure.
We knew it was going to happen 5 years ago. I thought it was going to happen in 2008. Mm-hmm. And I certainly wasn't prepared in 2008. And guess what? I wasn't prepared in 2010. I wasn't prepared in 2012. I wasn't prepared in 2014. I'm not really that prepared in 2022.
But we were making little steps towards it. Like, so every day, you know, like tonight, what was I doing tonight after dinner?
You're planting more seeds.
Right. Every day I do a little bit.
Just do a little bit?
I just do a little
bit.
bit.
You do a little bit every day.
I noticed that
at the end of the month, it's a lot.
A few of my corn pods out there, bags, were, you know, they didn't all come up. I wanted 6 in a bag. So I went out there and I counted each one. And if it didn't have 6, I pushed, you know, some little corn seed back in there, and just every day, just doing a little tiny bit every day, you know. Did a little bit in the chicken coop today. I got eggs hatching. That's just been...
And we have the luxury. This is the bizarre thing about America and our industrialized, postmodern, post-truth world. Like, this is literally a luxury we have, supposedly, to do this, right? We have this luxury. Oh, I'm going to have a garden, right? And, you know, and it's a luxury. Why? It's a luxury because we can go to the store and get it, right? It's not a necessity.
Right.
But what we're going to soon find out, and what we're going to soon learn, is that it's going to be a necessity. And people weren't having vanity and luxury gardens in the past. It was of necessity. And, you know, history repeats itself. We're watching history repeat itself again. And if you think that voting does anything, I mean, if history doesn't teach anything, history teaches you that voting does nothing. Okay? And so don't vote harder. Just work harder. Work harder on your garden, whether it's on your balcony or wherever. You know what I mean? And if it's on a balcony, you really got to think about getting a piece of dirt.
Absolutely.
And
I think that you need to move that to #1 top priority list, is to get yourself in a place, even if it's renting somewhere that's out in the country. You're going to need some space. Yeah. You're absolutely going to need some space to grow some things, to have some chickens, to have some goats, to do something, to have some little cooney pigs or whatever. Have some Muscovy ducks. I can't say enough about the Muscovy ducks. You know, have some rabbits, whatever. You know, even if you're not a meat-eating family, to have a garden, just to have enough space to have a garden. So we talked about some different things that you can be doing, where you're at, as far as having moving to some land. If you're not on land already, make that a #1 priority. And if you have it set in your mind to do something, you can absolutely do it. You can achieve it somehow. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can make that happen. So I encourage you, that's #1. Get somewhere where you're going to be able to grow your own food. That's going to be really, really important. And then #2, start growing your own food. Start whatever it is that you eat. I encourage you just to start doing that, making a list of the things that you eat, your family eats, and start growing some of those things. And then, of course, get in your fruit trees, your berry plants, get them established, and, you know, Hopefully you can get something that's a couple years old already and kind of get a little jump start on that, but that's another thing. And then start learning how to preserve that food and put all that food away and take care of yourself and just be a little more self-sufficient than what you are now.
It's all good advice. It's Texas Dad approved.
Okay guys, so thanks so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time right back here on the farm.
See y'all. Bye.